Hello, everybody. My name is Bill Hershey from Lifestream Business Services, and I'm excited to share with you a special guest, Laura Baum, who has created a holistic herbal products business, has pivoted a couple times and ended up creating business services to help empower other folks who are in the herbal and holistic business communities to be successful in their businesses as well. And I'm going to be asking her some questions about lessons that she's learned on her entrepreneurial journey. So I think this is really valuable for all of us who are finding ourselves in the integrative and holistic health professions, because this is going to be unique to our own personal journey. It's going to be unique to our specific modalities and skill sets. And there's always, there's lessons that we can glean from each other's the school of hard knocks of becoming entrepreneurs. And I believe that we can be stronger as a community by sharing these stories. So I'm excited to dig in with you here, Laura. Laura, welcome. And I would love for you to share with our folks here what it is that brought you into, of course, most of us who find ourselves in the holistic health professions have a story that comes with that. Often it's a wounded healer story, right? So if you feel comfortable sharing, I'm sure my audience would love to hear what brought you to this work and why that's so important for you.
Hi, Bill. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. We've been doing this collaboration, almost like a feeling for this whole month of August, and it's just been so fantastic. You have such a great platform. I absolutely love it. So thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. And yeah, you're absolutely correct that so many people want to give back after they've gone through so much themselves. And it's kind of amazing, right? That we are those kind of people who want to actually serve after going through so much. I think it's just a natural thing. It's a natural thing when you have gone through things and found solutions. You have to just kind of go to the top of the church and start ringing the bell and letting people know that this is what worked for you. And you know, I'm into about a decade now of using holistic solutions for my own health, anaphylaxis and autoimmunity, and realizing that food was not always good for you, that there's some dangers in our food supply. And these were all new to me, these new concepts. I had no idea these things were being done. GMO crops, what in the world is going on here? And so I turned to activism and I turned to community grassroots and community gardening projects to become closer to my food and understanding what was going on in our food supply. And I realized that I had a pretty good knack for herbs and realized that you could turn rosemary into all kinds of things beyond food, that things could be taken internally for therapeutic reasons, that there was a word called herbalism, which again, I had no idea. Simultaneously, I also started to realize that there was ancestry and things in my lineage that I had been not raised to realize was a bit of our superpower. Plants began talking to me, and it was a bit of a spiritual awakening, realizing that plants are not just here to serve us, but for us to work together with plants. So it's kind of one of the humble and great things about herbalism that makes us so unique to other therapeutic modalities. No offense to all those other great modalities, because there's so many, but there is something very unique because herbalism is literally about connecting directly with plants and nature, right?
Yeah. So it's such a beautiful entryway into sort of the mysteries of the universe to have this connection with nature and plants. And so many lessons I think can be learned through that. And it's very interesting that coming into this from this very like deep, earthy connection with nature, you end up finding yourself in business coaching, which almost in some ways kind of seems a little bit like such a different world. What was that like for you, kind of making that jump to then offering service in that way?
Yeah, so I'm a bit of a nomad and I have a nomadic spirit, and plants do too. They travel where they need to, where the resources are. And so I kind of see business as this very organic thing. And I'm very demanding that this energy that we have that is very omnipresent and everybody recognizes as strong is not the only way to do business. That, you know, we actually are supposed to serve each other, that service is what we do, that selling is serving. So hearing those types of concepts and really making them not just things that I think about, but making them actually frame how I do business and helping other people see that too, it relaxes this idea of it being such a cold thing and turns it into something that we actually all can facilitate and propagate in our lives. No matter who you are, you can make meaning and turn something into something that could then help you get resources as a business.
Mm. Yeah, wonderful. And when we think about it, like resources, it's like all life needs resources of some sort. It's life sustaining. So, the plants obviously have their resources, whether it's from the soil, from the sky in the form of sun or rain. But we as businesses also, there's a life, there's sustenance that we need to pull in order to do that. So I'm curious to hear how your business model in its current form sustains itself. What are what are the different arms of your business? What does that look like?
So I've gone through a simplification process, and that's what I help people apply because it's good to really know your story and know where you're trying to go, the vision. So having that really strong vision in place and then having some functionality and systems that feel good and feel workable and help you build that natural momentum when you're seeing those wins. But then there's also this kind of like shape that can form around it too that I have definitely allowed to happen, which is a bit more like the elements. You got to have a little bit of fire, you got to have a little bit of water, oil, you got to have some wind in there too. I mean, opening up space for creativity and flow is definitely part of that process as well. I hope that answers your question a bit. I might have gone off on tangent.
No, it's quite all right. I imagine it sounds like you've probably gone through different iterations in your business and your business model in terms of maybe even trying, hey, I thought this is what I really love to do, but it actually turns out I'm not actually into doing this, or maybe just doing this in this certain way, or the system that I need to use in order to do this, it drives me nuts. So I'm just curious, maybe you can give us a glimpse into the evolution of where you started in your business and how that unfolded into you finding systems and methods in your business that really feel good and resonant.
I really wanted to make sure that when I did do systems, they were based on actual data and logistics. So creating more reflective practices, I think, has been overall the most helpful there. But strengthening myself too and keeping me at the center of it, making sure that a lot of time is spent on my own personal developments, that I'm seeing myself as my own thing and that my company is this whole other thing. Right. So I have been focusing a lot on just strengthening that. And I think that's had such great results for the business too, that it's not just being caught within it, but being able to objectively look outside of it and say, like, this is what I really want. This is a boat. I really want to go this direction.
Yeah. And I love that you're bringing this element of human development that really comes with running a business. And it's not that just we start a business and we do a thing, but, a lot of times find that our businesses can end up shaping us as human beings and taking us on a journey of self-development and realizing that our well-being and our ability to operate within our passion, our purpose, our vision, our values is a critical success factor. And this is really so key. I think a lot of folks kind of know this and see this, but to actually practice it's really something that self-care is actually a business activity, and effective self-care and healing is also a critical success factor in business. And I'm curious to hear, when that really landed home. Maybe you had an experience where you realized, wow, I did this thing to really help myself, and I noticed a direct correlation in how that impacted my business. I'm wondering, do you have any stories or examples of your own evolution where that showed up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of my favorite things is this ongoing stream of consciousness document that I have going on. And then I have routine times throughout the year where I go and read it and check it. And I either refine it or I add to it, or I move paragraphs around, or I go through and find new sentences that really stand out for me at that time. And that becomes copy that I use for my messaging. Or it's a program that I was like, oh yeah, that's the seed that I planted a few months ago about that. And I can connect the dots to see where the things have evolved and if those things actually manifested. And I know that that word's used a lot, but so how I logistically use it is a stream of consciousness document. So instead of to do, it's this framing of my mind at various times and allowing myself to just see what I'm trying to shape here. It creates a certain playfulness in that space of to do and in that mechanism of operation, which I really think is important so that we don't get feeling this sense of stuck and dread and I have to. I really think the reframing of to do is very powerful. Making it more objective based, or even feeling based. When I accomplish this, I'm going to feel this way. To really not just keep the momentum up, but to shape again that like sense of purpose and personal self-worth, which is totally a huge deal with taking care of yourself and making see how it ties into the business.
Oh, beautiful. So yeah, we're kind of mapping out, you're giving us some really nice gems of what you found to be really effective and powerful for you in your business and in your daily practices. So like in stream of consciousness journaling, what are some other like practices that you found to really help keep this inspiration alive amidst, the operational sort of more systematic aspects of the business?
One of my first events, I was at this event in a sunflower field and my tent flew away into the field and I had bottles of elderberry syrup. It was like, what am I doing? I have no idea. This is crazy. And then, of course, everybody bought all my bottles. And then I'm like, oh, I'm an herbalist. You don't believe it's going to happen. And it does. And I want people to prepare for success because it's going to happen. This is a huge industry. Going in knowing that you're going to do well is going to be so beneficial. My 4-pillar holistic lifestyle system, it's rooted in blue zone routines, which is interesting because a lot of people who live in these zones who are really, really doing well with their health and their longevity, they're not taking supplements. They're doing different kinds of routines. A lot of them have to do with social good, intergenerational work. So older people helping younger children, for example. So the 4 activities are having a garden, having a in-home holistic workspace, lifestyle workspace, having a personal healing vision or personal health vision, very important if you're going to make it through health issues. Let me tell you. And that becomes even more, it can become very nuanced, especially for people with autoimmunity. Like you're checking in on yourself daily, like several times a day when you're in that situation. And the 4th thing is being able to make your own herbal medicine. People who make your own herbal oil, it's a beautiful thing, right? You have this jar of working product, you're shaking it up, you're seeing medicine forming before your very eyes. It's not just the product, it's the process. And that's really important to help people tap into healing and healthcare in general. And so that is the core of how I do things. Health is an operation, and seeing the things, being able to see my garden, being part of a process and a flow is a mechanism for business. It's not just a matter of getting healthier. It's like, no, I'm seeing the evidence before me and I'm keeping things prioritized and focused. And it really opens up a lot of creativity and organization, which is really great too.
Wonderful. And I gotta take a moment to pause and appreciate. I love how you've infused your healing journey and what's worked for you in your healing journey into your business, into the way that you serve your clients, into the way that you keep yourself inspired and keep your clients inspired. And yeah, that's wonderful. Gosh, wow. Shifting gears a little bit, you mentioned about selling products and making products, and I wonder, because I found at least, I coach both mostly service-based businesses, but I have worked with retail businesses and even sort of manufacturing businesses. I guess you could basically say that it's like making herbal medicine is like a manufacturing operation.
Yeah, maker business.
Yeah, it's sort of a cottage industry. And there's nuances that distinguish, a service business from a product business. And I'm wondering if you can speak to how those have been different for you and what you've noticed in the course of running both. Like, what are some differences you've encountered?
Well, physical products, you're making them and you're selling them directly, and you have to make a bunch of units, and you have to have enough of your products to go to each market. Like I remember being in those saturated markets and you're like, oh, I didn't make enough of them, or oh, I didn't get to make the lavender balm. And of course, that's the one that everybody wants. So you're always creating these like checks and balances for each event based on your energy levels. And you're always trying to, figure out if the event's going to be really good, it's going to be well attended. And then services, you're also driving traffic, but you're not driving traffic to this like event where a lot's happening, very exciting situations, usually with a lot of people. You're driving traffic to your brick and mortar. Although there were lots of service providers at markets that I went to actually to promote and to gain clientele through those channels. So, I mean, services, you're a lot more detail oriented and there's intake and all kinds of things. Whereas the product is like a cute transaction. You don't really need to have a lot of context to provide a service for that person. But I would say that there could be this beautiful fusion between those two spaces so everybody can do better, especially in regards to sustainability and with your marketing goals, because so much has to go into selling those products. It's really hard to scale a product-based brand especially with little to no audience or capital. It's a really hard thing to finance and build, but it's really, really beautiful. There's really something lovely about having your own brand and being inspired and serving in that way. And it's not a very big time and energy investment for a lot of people. It feels safe with it because it's a low costing product. Whereas a service might be a more expensive thing and they feel a little bit more intimidated about serving that type of concept or product to someone else.
Have you found that you like one a little bit better than the other? Are there certain things that you like about each?
I like them both equally, and I also like giving lectures and workshops, but I prefer totally consulting at this point. Like I'm a much bigger fan of giving people a roadmap and some skills and implementation advice and support, as well as some done for you. I really do like getting the job done for people if they really need that help and they're looking for that help. But in regards to products, I'm not really interested in being at the vending. I used to do hundreds of markets a year and events a year, or full farmers market seasons out in that 80-degree heat, setting up and running teams. It's quite the venture. Again, it's very, very hard to scale. And I've just discovered that it's much easier and more sustainable for me to be driving traffic online, growing my ads, being able to generate conversation and meaningful conversation in ways. I was just looking at data again, and I was like, I was able to get a lot of people this way and have actually meaningful conversations through like live launching and Facebook group conversations and cultures. And not to say that I wouldn't want to do a farmer's market, because I still do very specific and targeted events, but I'm not at 100 a month. I'm at like 1 or 2.
I got you. And I wonder, you were talking about pricing of services in our upcoming workshop. And, when it comes to pricing products, I see so many businesses struggling with how do I develop a methodology for pricing products? What has been your journey with that? And what have you found to work well in pricing the products that you're creating?
Well, I just have a bit of a photogenic memory, and I just basically memorize what a bunch of people say about pricing, and then I find kind of the median. So it's like, so I look really closely at their culture and who their target audience is and what they're really trying to accomplish. And I look at their menu of products and I'm like, okay, because a lot of people actually, have a $49 entry and then like all the way up to like a $20,000 product. So understanding the tiers of low ticket, median, moderate, and high ticket, and understanding that physical products tend to be in the, low ticket. So you have to not just conceptually price. I know that you're very brilliant at this. You have to think about like the pricing of making it and the costs of the goods and then the actual energy. And a lot of people don't have that. They just don't understand that. So it's going to be really good for them to show up and get that kind of more intrinsic information, because of course you're going to be surprised with the actual price. And I mean, skincare and things like that. I mean, definitely becoming more evidentiary, like with apps like Brandify and things like that, like, there's some companies where the skincare products, the profit margin is clearly, they're setting the price way too high for the cost that it was actually to make it. So it's not just the pricing, it's also like your integrity and your ability to match energetically what you feel it should be. It's it just kind of naturally happens, to be honest. Sometimes, yeah, you play with the prices a little bit and you're like, no, this feels right. And I do know too that pricing should naturally increase with more evidence that you're doing it. Because as you're garnering more credibility, the pricing can increase because you've done it. You've had clients and you've had customers, and it's that's what we want more than anything. We want the services and the products to be known and validated. That's how it's going to really pick up the momentum. And changing that pricing too often or changing your offers too often can cause confusion. And that's part of what we're talking about in my programs and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and I think a lot of folks from all industries really, but especially in the integrative and holistic industries, pricing can really be a major challenge because it's really both an art and a science, and you can't completely overlook your cost or the time it takes to make, but also you can't really just look at that and ignore what's going on elsewhere in the market either. And so there's this sort of happy medium, happy balance of maintaining an awareness. And even, I see a lot of folks, even, I just worked with a restaurant client, actually. We created a costing model for them where we were able to take all their products that they're purchasing and basically cost out how much it cost per ounce or per teaspoon or per cup that converts into the recipe. Then we can see the cost per portion in that recipe. And then basically based on the plate that's serving that recipe, what the cost of those things are. And it was very interesting that she was going a lot by feel, and she was actually pretty close. She was doing well above her profit margin goals. So, definitely don't want to dismiss the intuitive aspects to pricing. Did you have anything else you wanted to mention just on this topic?
No, I think this is a really good point. I think it's good to have those solid numbers and a solid framework of understanding. Because, I mean, you can really surprise yourself. And I know with physical products too, eventually I scaled back. Not, I didn't scale up, but I scaled back on like what I was serving. I had too much, too many offers, too many things. And so that also, tends to happen with economic shifts as well. It's understanding kind of what's required of your customers and what's actually needed, because that changes and that will influence how you go about making. But the great thing about product making is that you're kind of open to that, and you're kind of going with the shifts and the tides a bit more in flow than maybe a service provider would, because that usually is a very concrete service over time.
Yeah, and I think there's an art to this too, in sort of what we curate in our business. So I like gardening. You plant a bunch of things that you would love to have in your garden. And you realize, hey, these things are doing really well. They're going gangbusters, and these other things are just kind of wilting. And do I really put all this energy into these plants that I can barely keep alive? Why not grow more of these things that are just this sort of 80-20 that naturally shows up?
Yep, everyone's yard is different, and everyone's soil is different. Yep, absolutely. It's
Right
good
on.
to sometimes grow more of what you'll grow good stuff of. Right now, I have a dandelion bed, and I couldn't be happier.
Hey, that's a powerful plant, right?
Yes, it
Right.
is.
So, the last thing I'd love to explore with you is, one of the things that I see you doing and how you coach your clients with marketing their services is creating eBooks. I would love to hear your thoughts and kind of your philosophy behind how you've seen this to be effective, perhaps in your own business and with the clients that you work with.
Well, so thank you. I had a business coach for a while who really I was having a lot of success with. And then we kind of got to a stuck phase. And I think it's because we weren't focusing so much on the universal business principles. We were focusing on what's going on now, what's happening now. And it just became a bit overwhelming. And then I switched over to a new mentorship, and it was all about universal principles. And I gotta say, they're very relaxing to me. It's like no matter what's going on, you can always rely on networking, right? You can always rely on significant conversations with other people in business. There's certain things that are inevitably going to be great for business, no matter what time period we're in. Ebooks or like, intellectual property is one of those universal things too. If we can create a great ebook together or on your own, it's going to last forever through your business and also your company culture and also your personal brand culture. So just you, because it embraces your process and your mindset. Some of that stream of consciousness writing can go in there, your thoughts at the time. And it's a way to capture your voice and articulate it, and also capture the voice of your customers and make sure that they're infused into that process as well, because it's really for them. It's not just about our accomplishment. It's about the value we're able to provide from that reading. And so, let's just reframe that whole word lead magnet, right? And just say that this is a tool and it's so highly engaging and it makes you really excited to have this thing. It's not the full publishing route. It's just a way to frame conversation, create meaning, and get people to take a moment to really stop the scroll and read people's thoughts and think about solutions. And that's a great win because it gets people's mindset ready for, am I ready to work with this person in this way? And it gives them actual written, ways of how they can do that.
Beautiful. Love it. Wow, Laura, man, you've dropped some gems for us in this interview. So I appreciate you taking the time and sharing your experience and wisdom and your healing journey. So
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
yeah, wonderful. So if folks want to find out more about your work, what might you offer in that way?
So, if you're more social, you can find my profile, Laura Baum, on Facebook and follow me. Shoot me a direct message if you want, or look at my content, and just because I do content, and I post things pretty regularly. Or I'm an email girl. You can send me an email, laura@laurabotanicals.com. And we have a couple gifts. I mean, we have this workshop that we're doing together that you can tune into. And there's the holistic framework is a free course. So we're happy to share that as well with you all too, so you can grow that garden confidently. And the holistic workspace is a pretty good meaty course as well. So that's, if you have the yoga mat, you're going to go to the yoga class. So it's just doing the same thing with your holistic tools at home to improve your health, or think about doing things a little bit more naturally, holistically through the framework that I provide. And yeah, if you're a professional, please reach out. I love to collaborate. I mean, it's super fun and meaningful to see what's going on and check in with each other.
Awesome. It's been really fun collaborating with you and cooking up in the kitchen a little bit together. So
vice versa, Bill. It's super fun. Very, very nice and very comfortable and so well organized.
right on.
I love it.
Thank you. So yeah, well, I look forward to our next episode, and thanks everybody for tuning into this. And if you like what you heard, feel free to throw something in the comment. Tell us what you like the most. If you have a key takeaway, and yeah, look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thanks so much. Take care for now.